But we don't have to despair. You know, we can do these practices for the people who are sick, and we can definitely rejoice that we are not sick. So, so this is, and that we can do something for them. Okay, so I know some of you, I know definitely Cyril, who is hiding under this big sea there. If you can, put on the camera, because I always have gallery view and I find it more inspiring to see people's faces than just to talk to black boxes here. Don't worry about, you know, you're not made up, or you're not, even also if you try to be really comfortable. So if you, I know that maybe I should say this, but if you have a lot of body ache or you're really tired or whatever, from my side, totally okay if you lie down. You know, I mean, and if you need to get up also, then get up or walk around. Main thing is that you're comfortable. I think it's really admiring that you are still looking at the screen, probably after having worked the whole day looking at the screen. So who else do I know? I know Roxanne, of course, then Christine, I know. Nina, do I know you? Are you just using Nina's? Are you also Nina?
Yeah, I'm also a Nina, yes, but I'm not the same Nina as Nina. I'm Nina from Sweden.
You're from Sweden?
Yes, okay. I'm not in the study group. I just pop in to see what they're doing.
So who is from Zurich, actually? Teres, Talia, Christian, Marlene is there also, right? Christine and Roxanne. And the others are, yeah, it's fine. You know, this is the good thing about Zoom, that we can have like people from all over the world.
Venerable, okay, so I'm sorry, I thought I got cut. I was saying that I'm not hiding, I'm still stuck at work. So okay, that's why. But okay, I'm leaving now, I'm in the street and I should be home soon and I'll be able to put on the camera.
Okay, I was just teasing you, Cyril.
Okay.
But that's some dedication, calling in from work, Cyril. So respect.
This is Cyril. This is really great. Thank you very much, Cyril. Okay, so so we'll have 4 evenings where we do go together through the sadhana, and I'm trying to do this a little bit like what I always do, is like more kind of discussion group, and not just me, you know, going blah 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 and you listening or spacing out, or I don't know. And you can really cut in. You just open your mic if you have a question, not so much philosophical questions, but more questions about Tantra. Okay, something you don't understand. But before we do this, before you start with your questions, maybe I have to say a few things about Tantra. So I think I got somewhere, there was a list on the website what we're going to cover. So what the first one is preliminaries to Tantra. So I guess Talia is not talking about the 9 preliminaries like prostrations, mandala, refuge, and all these kind of things, but more the prerequisites for like an ordinary being in order to do Tantra. So in general, they say you should have at least intellectually, not realized, you know, realized would be fantastic, but at least intellectually know the 3 principal aspects of the path, which is renunciation, like really wanting to get out of samsara, like not for this life, okay? Like having understood the 4 Noble Truths. And as His Holiness always says, if you want to understand the 4 Noble Truths, you need to understand the 2 truths first, conventional truths and ultimate truths, of which I'm sure many of you have had many, many teachings, like the emptiness, you know, the ultimate truth, emptiness. In emptiness, things do appear the way that they exist. Conventional truths, they do not exist the way that they appear to us. They appear to us like our kind of ordinary mind always either adds something which is not there, which is inherent existence, and then we go good and bad, and I want and I don't want, or it adds, or it kind of takes away, it underestimates. Yeah, our deluded mind, whether we want or not, you know, as long as we haven't realized emptiness, we are never seeing things as they are, yet we are convinced. My view, the way I see things, this is right. right? And then so then the Buddha comes, and he says, no, even if you think you're right, it's like, and even if the whole world agrees with you, as long as you haven't realized emptiness directly, you still see things wrong, what appears to us. So with disappearance, we can then slowly work at it and at least know, okay, just appearance. Okay, so we're not pulling along with it so much anymore. And then also, if you look at the teachings of the Buddha, don't go into emptiness too quickly. I think it's the Buddha really taught in a very, very skillful way that first he was teaching there is true suffering, there is true causes, there is true cessations, and there is true path. A little bit further down the line, when he's teaching on the Heart Sutra, how many of you know the Heart Sutra? Form is emptiness, emptiness, many, so that's great. So you know it, yeah? So, in the Heart Sutra, there's a section where it says, there is no suffering, there is no causes of suffering, there is no cessation, there's no path. There's no old age, and there is no birth, there's no old age, there is no attainment, and there is also no non-attainment. So then we go like, how can we trust this Buddha? First he says true suffering, true causes, true cessation, true path. A little bit further down the line, then he's starting to say like, there is no such thing. There's no eye, no ear, no nose, no body, no tongue, no body, no mind, no this and that, nothing. Yeah. So this is why then it kind of required a third teaching. These are the main teachings. It's called like the turning of the wheels, the turning of the wheel. So the third turning of the wheel that he gave in Vaishali, then he starts to explain why he says like this and why he said like that. And especially in the third turning of the wheel, he talked about Buddha nature. That everybody has Buddha nature, everybody can become fully enlightened. Okay, so the two truths is about knowing the Four Noble Truths, but also knowing that even though there is suffering, but it's empty of inherent existence. But if you go into emptiness and teachings on emptiness too quickly, then you fall into nihilism. And then you think, okay, just illusion, just like a dream, nothing exists, and therefore, who cares? Yeah, and this is even more dangerous than to believe in inherent existence. So this is ordinary view, the ordinary view of I and others, separate. The ordinary view, I here, the computer there, separate from the mind, right? And it appears like this, totally. And this is why we suffer, because it's not true, because that's the mind protecting. And this is so difficult to understand. You see, we want to understand, but how do things exist? But we cannot if we don't realize emptiness. We cannot. Yeah. So all we have to do in the philosophical way to know how things do not exist. But in the meantime, we still have to take whatever wisdom we have and at least start to know what we have to abandon and what we have to adopt. Yeah. So His Holiness, I don't know if you saw him this morning, talking to, I think it was Russian scientists about how meditation kind of benefits the mind, and they were talking about tuktam and this final meditation, going into the clear light and all this. And he was saying again, he said, well, you see, the problem is language, because when we talk in English, we talk about emotions, and we don't really know what emotions are. So in the Buddhist philosophy, they talk about mental factors, and some we could call emotions, like like love, compassion, anger, jealousy, arrogance, and all this. Others are just attitudes in a way. They're not really emotions, like flexibility, trust. Would you call faith or trust? Would you call it an emotion? I wouldn't call it emotion, but it's a mental factor. And I'm not going into Lorik because otherwise you don't get to Chenrezig. But if you look at this list, and it's really worthwhile to study that, even just with a book. what the main minds are and what mental factors are, because that's the basis, because the whole thing about Buddhism is to understand how our mind works. If we don't understand this, how the Buddha kind of made this science of the mind, and he says, look, these are positive mental factors. There's 11 of them. Why are they positive? Because they lead to liberation from suffering and to enlightenment. These are negative mental factors. Why are they negative or harmful or unskillful or not constructive, or however you want to call them? Is because they lead to suffering. And there, if you study this, and you know what you want to attain, I said, like the prerequisite for Tantra is renunciation, wanting to get out of samsara. If you have understood dukkha, like suffering, also on a subtle level, like the suffering of change, that there is no place where we find security as long as we have wrong views. Yeah, even in Switzerland, even if our conditions are really, really good, still you can get depressed, you can get lonely, you can get sad because you can't go to a party, all these kind of things, When we look at other sufferings, we can't understand why these people are suffering who say, oh, I'm suffering because I can't go to the party. But when you know the teachings of the Buddha, you know that the mind is producing the suffering, not the situation. So maybe you don't suffer because you can't go to the party, but definitely other people do. And it's okay. So if we understand the suffering of change, this insecurity that is always with us, and I think the pandemic, by the way, is really, really helpful to understand this. Yeah, there's nothing you can trust. You can make plans to go on holiday or to go to work or do this, that the shop is open, that all the things are in the shop. We can have all these expectations, but it's not true. And if you go with the flow of this uncertainty, you have a big, big level of freedom, actually, because there's no more expectations. And you just stay in the present. And actually, people who know this, people who know about impermanence, not just on the intellectual level, but like Buddhist practitioners, everybody I know closely that practices, and I know that they practice, none of them says, I suffer because of this pandemic. They all say, I suffer because I see the suffering of others. But me personally, it's perfectly okay. Because we have learned already, meditated on it again and again and again and again. The 6 and the 8 sufferings, the 6 ones, the 6 sufferings of a human being, yeah, that there is nothing we can trust, that at any moment we can lose everything we cherish. And now we can, you can settle into this fact and say, okay, sometimes happy, sometimes sad, nothing I can trust. If I lose something, yeah, of course, it's the nature of samsara that things are getting lost and you're not getting depressed. This is it. You don't need to attain freedom from the pleasures, freedom from the how to say, freedom from the causes of suffering. But if you get disturbed by this, when you lose your job, you lose your family, you lose your health, you lose your mind, you lose your trust in your spiritual practice and you stop everything, you lose your partner, if you get disturbed by this, then you have no other choice but to eliminate the causes, which are the kleshas, which are the negative, again, we call them negative emotions, which is not really such a good word. But let's say, the negative mental factors, the ones who lead to suffering, mainly the 3 main ones, which are wrong views, actively knowing something that is wrong. This is the starting point where then attachment and aversion comes from. Thinking that something is true when it's not true. Yeah. So if you are disturbed by what is called dukkha or suffering, then you have no other choice but to work with your mind. You can have a nice house and a Tesla car. Now it's not Ferraris anymore. At the moment it's Teslas, isn't it? So you can have a Tesla, you can have a wonderful partner, wonderful kids, whatever. Still, you can't rely that they will bring you happiness. You should think it will, but it won't. So renunciation means, it doesn't mean, whoa, I can't enjoy samsara anymore. No, it doesn't mean that. If happiness comes in samsara, you enjoy it. You're not getting too excited about it. If suffering comes, it's okay also. And but you're not running after it. And you're looking for something better. Like samsara, when you say give up samsaric pleasures, it's not really give up the pleasures, because our senses are open. And if something comes that activates a positive karmic seed, we will experience pleasure, whether we want or not, you know. And if it activates a negative karmic seed, then we will experience suffering. We cannot avoid that. So, but looking for samsaric pleasures or running after them, this is not having renunciation. And especially what we want to give up is the causes for the suffering. You see, I used to be an alcoholic, so I probably still have a bad liver. This is why I love oily stuff. Everything that is fried, this, you know, I could eat that every day, 3 times a day, absolutely no problem. I know some people shudder when I say this, they kind of go like, ugh. Yeah, me, oh, hi, Zero. Me, I go like, you know, wow, this is great, but I get headache from it, okay? So I don't eat so much fried stuff, even though I love it and it produces pleasure in me. But the short moment of pleasure is not worthwhile the 2 days of headache that comes afterwards. So I'm not giving up eating chips. I still do eat them maybe once a year or something. So I'm not giving up eating chips because I shouldn't have the pleasure. I'm giving up eating the chips because I don't want to have the headache. So this is giving up samsaric pleasures in order not to experience the suffering. Yeah. And also when we don't experience suffering and we understand what it means not to experience suffering, then we are happy. Yeah, this is it. It's not that we want to produce happiness. It's that what we want to get rid of suffering. Okay, so this is the first preliminary requisite for understanding samsara, you know, understanding the Four Noble Truths. It's only the first step, wanting to get out of it really, really strongly, you know, looking at the causes, not at the conditions outside why you suffer, but really being fed up by from being under the control of negative emotions. This should be very strong, you know, as if you are in a room that really stinks. You're locked in a toilet. This is Lama Zopa usually says, samsara is like being locked in a toilet. And what are we doing? We're just making it more beautiful. You know, we paint it and we spray because it stinks, and we make zero effort to get out of it. This is what we do with samsara, isn't it? Do you agree or not? Yeah, okay.
Yes, definitely.
You don't have to be sad when you know, we should go, yes, this is true, because then we start to understand, hey, I have to look for something better, which is being free from being under the control of negative emotions. You know, we're totally slave of them. Okay, so that's that. Then why do we want to do that? Second aspect of the path is because we understand how dependent we are on others for our survival, for our happiness, for our liberation from samsara, for our enlightenment. We're totally dependent on others. And we have had billions and trillions of millions of lifetimes where we were totally dependent on others. How many of you have followed Venerable Renee's teachings and meditations like last summer? One of the first ones, yeah, Talia, anybody else? Okay, do you remember this? You remember the meditation when he was kind of going to 1,000 lives before, 10,000, and all of a sudden it comes like, wow! Yeah, all of a sudden, you know, when we say it's beginningless times, not much moves. But maybe it was just for me that it did that. I'll never forget that meditation, I tell you, because all of a sudden I started to understand, I got a little bit of a feeling what it means since beginningless lifetimes, like millions and trillions and billions of lifetimes without any end. Yeah. So either we continue like this or whatever, but in each of this lifetime, we have had a mother, a father, friends, you know, family, people who work for us, so for our survival, and so on. Yeah. So we want to repay that kindness because it is actually a human thing. We're not really, people are very selfish and just totally take advantage of others' kindness and just take. Even if they get everything what they want, and of course we get upset about them, especially if I'm the one they're taking advantage of, isn't it? But when you look at them, do you think that they're happy? What do you think? People who exploit others, do they look like happy people to you? Definitely not. Even though they get every time they get what they want to get, isn't it? So we want to, why? Because somehow our either consciousness, the consciousness, like what they call das Gewissen. How do you call Gewissen in English instead of just consciousness?
Maybe awareness.
This thing that deep down knows what is right or wrong. This is das Gewissen in German.
Conscience, no?
Conscience. We are not conscious.
Oh yeah, conscience. Conscience. It's a great word.
Conscience, okay. Because it seems as if everybody's conscience knows what's right and what is wrong. And I tell you what, this is our Buddha nature. That we have this basic spaciousness, intelligence, goodness that is totally hidden by selfishness and self-grasping, but deep down we do know. So this is why we feel uncomfortable if we cannot repay the kindness of other beings. So we want to get free, we want to get out of samsara in order to be able to lead other beings to that state as well. And so therefore liberation is not enough, just, personal nirvana. So you need to go a little bit further, 3 countless eons further on the path, whereas they say personal liberation you can attain if you're really good in 7 lifetimes. So 3.5 countless eons is a little bit longer. But if you compare 3.5 countless eons to beginningless lifetimes, 3.5 countless eons is just like that. It's very short. Yeah. It's just a matter of relativity, you say like this. Yeah, you can, compare 2 like that. So you practice the 6 perfections, meaning you become a bodhisattva. The first attitude in a bodhisattva is, I need to be of benefit to others. I owe it to them. It's not, oh, I'm so noble. I want to liberate those sentient beings from suffering. Look at me. I am such a wonderful person. Yeah. It is, I owe it to them, because otherwise, how can I be happy? Right? So then that's the first one. Can I help them now, the state I'm in? No. What do I need to do? I have to become a Buddha. So how do I become a Buddha? By practicing compassion and wisdom. Okay, the 2 wings for enlightenment. The compassion, which is the relative side of the path, where karma, impermanence, death and dying, emotions, and all this goes into the relative side, the method side of the path. And everything that has to do with the ultimate truth, with emptiness, goes into the wisdom side of the path. And in order to attain enlightenment, we need to practice both. And that takes a very, very, very long time. So then Shakyamuni Buddha taught in a different form. They say he taught the Tantras in the form of Vajradhara. Vajradhara looks a bit like, not just a bit, he looks like Vajrasattva, but he's blue in color. So he took on that form, again, when I say he took on that form, it's not really true. Gosh, this is, it's so deep and it's so profound and it's so complex. The Buddhas, they don't get up in the morning and say, okay, what should I be today? Shall I be Tara? Shall I be Vajradhara? Shall I be Vajrasattva? Yeah. The Buddhas appear to us according to our karma. So they're everything at the same time. Because they're empty of inherent existence, they can be everything at the same time. and they appear to us according to our karma. Now, we can, I think, relate to that. When you look, you wouldn't go and, sorry, I'm getting a bit gross now here. So you wouldn't go and sniff on a heap of dog shit, wouldn't you? Okay, we can say dog caca, that maybe is a bit nicer than dog shit. You wouldn't do that, would you? Are there beings who are doing this? Definitely. So does this heap, this brown heap, does it appear to every being in the same way as it appears to you? Definitely not. So this heap, this brown heap of something can be many things at the same time. It can be very attractive. It can be totally disgusting. It can be totally neutral. Maybe if you are somebody cleaning the street, you know, going up, oh, you just kind of throw it away and that's it because you're used to it. So like this. So this is why the Buddhas, they are everything at the same time. Yeah, and they appear to us according to our karma, not according to what they decide, what they want to be. Okay? So now, when you hear this, you have to let go of your scientific, empirical, materialistic thinking that you need proof for everything in order to believe it. Okay? So how can you get that trust that what the Buddha says, you know, that the Buddha kind of appeared in the form of Vajradhara, blue, and he gave these tantric teachings another way of practicing, which is called the quick path, meaning mentally dissolving everything into emptiness, knowing that nothing exists the way that it appears to us. And then if you have renunciation, bodhicitta, a very good understanding of emptiness, then out of this empty space, you yourself arise in the form of the Buddha. Yeah, like in this case, as Avalokiteshvara at the end, when you merge with the spiritual master. So as I'm saying, you know, I think if you have a mind that is, which is good, you know, because the Buddha is saying we should analyze and analyze and analyze. But when it comes to tantric teachings, we can analyze as much as we want. It's like it will not make sense. And I think the best way of approaching these kind of practices and teachings is by using your analytical mind when the Buddha is talking about the Four Noble Truths. You know, is there suffering? Is that true or not? When he doesn't say you suffer, okay? He says, hey, there is suffering. He says there is frustration, there is stress, there is lamentation, there is despair. Is that true or not? Are you not sure? It's true, isn't it? So this is why I'm looking at you. This is why I have the gallery view so I can see your reactions, guys. So it's maybe sad, but it's true. And, you know, especially today, it's so easy to be frustrated. It is so easy to be stressed. Everybody is tired, overworked, and all this. I mean, is this the life you dreamt as a child? The life you have now? Maybe you dreamt of having a lot of money. But did you dream that you would have to work so hard for it and to have so much responsibility and be so stressed? Or did you dream that you have an easy job, but then you don't have much money coming in? Is this what you would have chosen as a life, or that you would choose as a life if you would have a choice? Yes or no? Me, yes, for the moment.
Yes.
But yes, me for the moment, I just want to stop teaching and just, you know, I've had my peace of mind. But anyway, but yeah, but otherwise, you know, otherwise, yes.
Yes, for the moment.
That's for the moment. The life I have at the moment, I think is pretty good. So I didn't dream as, you know, I didn't dream as a child I want to become a nun. I would have thought if somebody telling me that, totally crazy. Because I was a bit wild and a bit of a rebel, but anyway. So this is how it goes sometimes, yeah? So the First Noble Truth, you know, is like, is that true or not? Is this a truth? Is it true when the Buddha says it's easy to get to have the suffering of pain? Because, you know, when he taught about the Four Noble Truths, he didn't even go too much into suffering of change and all pervasive suffering. He was talking about physical stuff, mental stuff of pain, despair, lamentation. If you read the first sutra, you know, first turning of the wheel sutra. And is that true? When he says it comes, the causes are wrong views. I mean, first one is karma. So the causes are actions that have been done under the influence of wrong views, attachment, and anger. Is that true or not? Do we have to wait until next life that we see this? Or can we see that this kind of this mess in this world, why there is so much suffering, comes of self-cherishing, not being concerned about others, not having a long view, but having a short view. Now it needs to be okay. Now I cannot waste money because now it's too expensive to look after the environment or whatever. So it just continue like this. What is it? Is that attachment or is it wisdom? Is it self-concern or being concerned about Mother Earth and everybody else who lives on it? So is it true when the Buddha says suffering comes from unhelpful emotions like wrong views, attachment, and anger? And is it true that suffering comes from actions, karma? Karma is action. You see, I mean, this whole thing, when we see, do you think that that global warming has causes? Or did it just happen like this? Coincidence. Of course it has causes, and we all know it. And as long as we don't stop the causes, there will be global warming. You know, we can do prayers and wish and hope and go on the street and demonstrate and whatever. Yeah, the only thing we can do, we can stop ourselves to create the causes. But as long as others do, and they are in the majority, you know, His Holiness, even His Holiness, I don't know if you heard him say that. He says, poof, in 50 years, he says, I'm not saying this. He says the scientists say that. Because when it was for the Buddhist Association, somebody asked him, how do you see the world in 50 years? So he said, well, I don't know how, you know, I don't know. But the scientists say there will be no more water, there will be no more food, there will be great wars because of this, and humanity will die out, and then we will have to go to, you know, you will have to get reincarnated on another planet. Because it's in Buddhism, it's not just this universe. Doesn't mean you should destroy the planet, by the way, because this planet is pretty good. Yeah. So, you know, it looks as if he's given up on it. Looks like he's saying, now is the time for you to practice, so that to make sure that you have another human rebirth somewhere else or in another universe, and you can continue with the practice of getting out of samsara. Okay. So the first noble truth, I think we can see that this is true, right? Then cessation. I think we can also see that we have short moments of we're relaxed. Everything is okay. It's very short, yeah? But I think everybody has experienced this. There's no thoughts, you know, no worries about future, not hanging around in the past. And there's this total openness. Yeah, I hope you have experienced this, because you see, once you have tasted this, then you know it's there. So it's a little bit like, you know, kind of trying to find our Buddha nature is a little bit like digging for gold. In order to find gold, you need to dig a lot of earth, right? So in order to find that short glimpse of Buddha nature where everything is okay and you're totally free, you have to dig through a lot of mental dirt and self-concern. Or you have, I don't know if you have it, because I had this experience twice, or maybe 3 times. Twice through anesthetic, when I had a full, you say anesthesia? So in case you need an operation and you're a meditator, please don't miss the moment before the mind shuts down. Because that very short moment where you are still aware, I tell you, wow, you know, you could get totally addicted to it. You're not getting addicted because it's so short, right? But it's like, anybody else has experienced that? Do you know what I'm talking about? Cyril, yeah, isn't it?
Yes, I have a guy who gives massages in Bali, and at the end of the massage, he puts his hands here and he stops the blood that goes to the brain, and you faint.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing experience, actually. It's my favorite part of, and you faint, and it's very similar to the death experience, and it's very similar to.
Yeah, good, thank you. Because fainting is also, the first moment when you wake up from fainting is so pleasant because the rational mind has not come back yet. And you're totally spacious and you don't know what's going on. There's no I, there's no
Absolutely.
me. But then you start to worry, hey, what's going on? Of course, if you know why you fainted, maybe not so much. But also I used to faint when I was younger, just like this, just, you know. So you wake up, you see the faces around you and you go, ah. But the first moment, also orgasm, by the way. Orgasm is the same, like all the energies channels, they just open and then you get a glimpse. So this is what I'm saying. Once you get a glimpse of this, you want more of this. Yeah. But then you know, okay, the guy in Bali, we can all go to Bali, but it's not giving us enlightenment. It just gives us an idea what it would mean to be free of being under the control of your negative emotions. Yeah. But we have to produce it ourselves. So sometimes you get this in meditation also. If you do longer, for example, Vipassana retreats, you know, where you suffer a lot at the beginning, you even ask yourself, what the hell am I doing here? Why don't I just go out? Cuenca, you can't because they take away your passport. So this is it. And they make it especially hard for you so that you resist until the resistance has to break. And then it's like, and then you get addicted to these things. But it's okay to get addicted if the addiction is like, I want to have this feeling because I need it in order to realize emptiness. If you just do it for the feeling, it's just like any other attachment. It's no point. Yeah. And if you do it with bodhicitta, because I want to be of benefit to others. Okay. So the third noble truth, that it's possible not to be under the control of negative emotions. This is a little bit more difficult for us to see that this is true. And then the true path, I think if you start, you know, the Eightfold Path, if you start to practice it, you can very quickly see that your life changes. So when you see that the things you can check, because that there is suffering, we have a direct experience, especially suffering of pain, maybe not suffering of change, and definitely not the all-pervasive suffering. But when you have, but the first one, you know, suffering of pain, you can see there's so much of it, especially now, and it takes so little for it to kind of to come out. Yeah, happiness, contentment, being grateful, and all this, we have to work at it. Suffering comes alone. We just have to sit still, and then we know it's there. So when you see that the things you can check with your ordinary mind, who is definitely totally underdeveloped, when you look at the mind of a fully awakened being, when you see that what you can check is true, then we start to kind of give in a little bit and start to do things where we have no idea what we're doing. And this is Tantra. And the more you want to understand with your rational mind, the more it won't work. The more I heard it, maybe I'll look for it and I'll play you the thing. It's a short excerpt from Dzongsa Khyentse Rinpoche. It's like, you know, it talks about Guru and it talks about also like spiritual path. The Guru gives you a task to go, and maybe you're in Zurich, or I'm talking to the Zurich guys. So let's say he tells you to go to Baden and to fold the tissue paper. That's the purpose for you to go to Baden. So you go there, you're not stressed because you know how to do it and you have no expectations of having a result from going there and folding a tissue paper. So this is kind of practicing Tantra, trying to let go of all expectations, what it should do, how it should feel, because otherwise you start to manipulate and you start to project, and your mind cannot go into a more subtle state. Because Tantra is to allow, by visualizing these very, these light bodies, by saying these sounds that are kind of strange, by visualizing the colors also, you allow the mind to go into a more subtle state, from the intellect more like to the heart. But if you take this whole thing of like Tantra being so subtle, if you take it out, up into your intellect, you miss the point. So you need a lot of trust. You need the trust, and you maybe also need the humility of not understanding. Okay? Do you have questions? Because otherwise we start with the sadhana and then we go into more explanation. We just go through the sadhana, and maybe I save you some because we only have half an hour left.
Nina has a question.
Yeah, Talia.
Nina has a question.
Well, yeah, okay.
Yes, I do. I was wondering about that moment you spoke about. You referred to anesthesia. I'm an ex-heroinist, so I kind of know the feeling. But I have experienced moments of that blissful emptiness. Yes. Or I wonder, is that the same as a moment of enlightenment, or is
no?
I
don't think so. I don't think so, because it's induced through chemicals and stuff like this. So this is why I'm saying, this is not enlightenment. This is just maybe short glimpses of the nature of our mind. Knowing the nature of your mind is not making you enlightened yet, awakened yet, because to be awakened, you need to have practiced the 6 perfections, like the compassion has to be there also. And all this, because when I woke up from the anesthesia, I wanted to have this experience back. So it wasn't to there was no bodhichitta or anything like that. Maybe I was kind of going a little bit, maybe this is what an experience of emptiness is all about. But when you have a short experience of emptiness, we have to repeat this again and again and again in the meditation through like, mental quietude or shamatha, and then combine it with vipassana, knowing what emptiness is. Yeah. So this is why also big question, do we have to know the object of negation of the 4 schools? This is for the philosophers here. If we want to realize emptiness, I asked this question Chador Rinpoche in the teachings like 2 weeks ago, but then I didn't have time to listen to the answer because I had to give another teaching. So I don't know if I can find the answer, but I will definitely ask Geshe Tashi when he's teaching about Mahamudra. Because the Geluks, this is where we belong to, they go on about this, that you have to know the object of negation, otherwise it's just fake and this and that. So it's good to not to trust it so much, these moments, or, thinking that, wow, I have realized emptiness. Because if you have realized emptiness, it will not go away. When you come out of meditation, after realizing emptiness, things will still appear as to you, like, the mouse here, or the watch, or whatever. It will still appear as being separate from the mind, but you will know it is just appearance. Okay? But then we have to get familiar with this realization of emptiness, and then only from then on, slowly, we start to kind of eliminate seeds, tendencies of unskillful behavior and unskillful or not constructive emotions, okay? But it's a glimpse, it's kind of a little taste of it. And then to think, when you have tasted it, then to think, wow, without any chemicals, without any massage, without any whatever, I could be in that state the whole time. But we can't buy it. It has to come through the practice. And so when we practice Tantra, and this is why they call it the quick path. So we take the outer Buddha, where we visualize the outer Buddha, in order to wake up our inner Buddha. Yeah. And your inner Buddha, if you don't have trust and faith. So the inner Buddha is kind of our inner guru, because we also have then to talk about the guru. You see, if you don't have contact to your inner guru, which is your own goodness, spaciousness, intelligence, and whatever, your outer guru cannot help you. Yeah, he's only there to kind of wake it up. We need to have the trust that we're good people. How many of you believe that? That you are good people no matter what? Wonderful. The others, you have to work at it. You know, not I am a good person because, but that our nature is goodness. And I tell you, you know, whatever I'm saying, I heard it from other people, okay? It's not my wisdom. But there's things that I heard in these 30 or more over years of following teachings that they just stick, and it just makes so much sense. And it was Bokha Rinpoche in Bogaya, and somebody, when he was teaching about this, that everybody's nature is goodness, and somebody got really upset and really angry, and he said, how can you say that? Just look what's happening in the world. I mean, that was 30 years ago or something. Already then, you know, we thought that the world is bad. So he said, look what's happening in the world. So much more people are hurting others and this and that. How can you say our nature is goodness? And then he said, because it makes you feel good. And aggression doesn't make you feel good. That's why it's our nature. I mean, it's so logic. When you see two people being very considerate and kind with each other, you see, especially in an elderly couple or like that, you're really moved and you feel comfortable, you feel good. If you see two people fighting with each other, you get very uncomfortable. Does that make sense? Yeah. And we all work so much better with goodness. Now, please, just think about yourself. Also, whatever I'm saying, don't think about other people. Apply it to yourself, you know, because then we go, yeah, but there's people, they're really bad by nature. They never do anything good. How do you know? How do you know how they feel inside? You can only experience your own mind. You cannot experience somebody else's mind. Okay, so stop about thinking that you know about others. This is for us to practice here and to see what are we yearning for, you know? This deep yearning that we feel sometimes. Is it for aggression? Is it for suffering? Or is it for goodness and health and purity and freshness? Why? Because it's our Buddha nature calling us, saying, hey, you could have it so much better if you're not looking in the wrong place all the time. Enlightenment is inside, it's not outside. And you know, what is enlightenment also is, we think it's something really exotic and something very high and something very strange. This also from Tsongsa Khyentse Rinpoche. An awakened or enlightened mind is at the height of its normality. The only mind who is normal is an awakened mind. All the other minds are delusional, meaning not normal. Normal, not in the sense it's the norm for everybody, but normal in the sense, in a very uncontrived way, in a very natural way, you are of benefit to others and you don't harm them. And that is normal. And we do feel normal when we are kind to others. You know, we're not saying, oof, I wonder what happened today. I was so kind to that person, you know. We never say like this. But when we blast somebody, when we are angry, we scream and shout at them, or we kind of don't communicate with them anymore, then we go like, oof, I wonder what happened. I wasn't myself, isn't it? Yeah. So please, 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 please start to believe in your natural goodness. And in the morning when you get up, you look at yourself in the mirror and you say, hello, my dear. And from time to time to sit and think, I am a good person. This is so healing and it's so relaxing because it's true. You know, Can you trust that? Can you believe in it? And not, I am good because others are bad. You are not comparing yourself with others. Yeah. Because when we start, this is already first step of Tantra. To go, I am a good person, you train to come closer to your nature of natural goodness. So it's the quick path to become a good person, to believe in it and to nourish that thought instead of, wow, I'm so bad and I always do everything wrong and this and that. Do you have, is that more or less clear? I wonder if we ever have time to get into the sadhana. Maybe we won't, because also I don't want to run through it. What shall we do? We have 20 minutes left, because what I also wanted to add with Tantra, what it is like also Tomsa Khenpo. He says our body and mind would have so much potential, right? Like we could be totally good. We could be totally kind. We could be totally wise. We have that kind of potential. But then at the moment we are, and he uses this example, we are like a clarinet. I don't know why it's taking a clarinet, but anyway, we are like a clarinet who's been lying in muddy water for years and years and years. You fish it out and you try to play it. What do you think will happen? On top of it, it's kind of distorted. People have been stepping on it. So what do you think will come out? Can you play properly? Probably not. Okay. So then he says, doing Tantra, visualizing the deities, saying the mantra, kind of dissolving into emptiness. This is like taking this clarinet and cleaning it and bending it again into the right way. Does that help a bit? Kind of nourishing our potential to be able to play wonderful music if we would be a clarinet, but we're not a clarinet, we're a living being. So we are playing kindness and wisdom. Does that make sense? Okay, so Talia, with the sadhana, does everybody have their own, or do you do, what do you do? Do you screen share, or what do you do?
Everyone should have their own, but if it helps with sharing a screen, I can do it too.
As you like, I don't know.
You guys, do you have it in front of you, or do you need screens?
Yeah, I have it on paper.
Okay, there's a request for screen. I will share.
Okay, so then we show it on the screen, that's fine. So what we'll do, because we only have 15 minutes left, but don't forget, this is explanation of the sadhana and the explanation of Tantra. So then it's good if you do it with Talia, because then you will have questions when you do the sadhana. Yeah, Tantra is something that you do. Tantra is not something that you kind of talk about, okay? But still, for auspiciousness' sake, we just go through it, and then we might, mentally notice for next time, what does this mean? What does that mean? And also what I noticed, the sadhana has a lot of footnotes, but don't expect from me that I can just say like this, what it is, okay? I have no clue. I also have to look at the footnotes. And the footnotes, my dears, are for you to see what it means. Because every time you look something up yourself, it sticks better in your mind than when you ask me, what does it mean? Kind in 3 ways, or, the 3 saffron robes and these kinds of things. It's all in the footnotes. It's very good. You have the whole tantric past and everything in these footnotes. I had a quick look at it. Okay. So shall we start?
I'm getting my screen ready.
Okay, so listen, if we have, so I don't have to go like a Shinkansen train, how to say, like a TGV. Is it okay if we take half an hour for the sadhana and we finish at 8:45? I mean, if you need to go earlier, then you can just say goodbye or whatever, or just wave or clonk out. But otherwise it will be really, really fast.
Yes, we can stay.
Okay.
Well, okay.
So we start page 3.
Page 3. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Is the font big
Well,
enough?
just,
Is the font big enough on the screen?
For the moment, yes, but I don't know if we will have, how it will be with the text. Okay, maybe if you can make it 1 notch bigger, that would be, I think, helpful.
Okay.
Not too bad. Yeah, that's good. Like this is perfect. Yeah, we don't need to create more suffering than we already have. Just the inseparability of the spiritual master and Avalokiteshvara. So the Tantric Guru, you see the Tantric Guru as the deity or the Buddha that you are meditating upon. Why? So just briefly, half a minute, close your eyes, think about your guru, or if you don't have a guru, somebody that is inspiring you, somebody that you would take as a role model. You know, if it's not your guru, then you don't need to think that person is Avalokiteshvara. But if you do have a guru, or it, you know, it doesn't have my personal guru, if you are a bit careful in choosing your guru, which is good, but just somebody that you allow that person to guide you. And when you think about this person, look what happens in your mind. This is how the guru is blessing us when we think about them, that we feel open, happy, grateful, respect, devotion, the whole thing. Yeah. So you can visualize Avalokiteshvara in space in front of you and the guru next to him. So you can have, you know, whatever you're used to, Avalokiteshvara, 4 arms, 11 heads, 1,000 arms, or just for you maybe, you know, also the Buddha of compassion is there. A manifestation of an awakened mind's compassion is there in front of me, white in color, rainbow body, you know, transparent. And this figure there, Avalokiteshvara, is my guru. It's just that I can only perceive the guru in his human form because my mind is not subtle enough to see him as Avalokiteshvara, like His Holiness the Dalai Lama. If you look at faces of Tibetans, when they look at His Holiness, they see Avalokiteshvara, the devotion, the joy of seeing him, you know, the respect is so beautiful to see. And we, with our arrogance and whatever, we lack this. So now you allow the guru to melt into that form of Avalokiteshvara, because then the guru gets the qualities of a fully awakened being. And then we say these words, if possible, coming from our heart. To my spiritual master, Avalokiteshvara, the full moon-like essence of the Buddha's vast compassion, and the radiant white nectar of their all-inspiring strengths, I pay my deep respect. I shall now disseminate to all other beings the standard practice of this profound yoga. Okay, then you can read this in the, I mean not now, so you can continue to scroll. So there, okay, then we do this maybe 3 times. And you can do this longer. And so you see, we have the 4 objects, Guru, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. With these 4 objects, we can create negative karma by being disrespectful, making fun of them, whatever. So we can, the first time, or we can say it maybe 2 times. So the first time we say it, we visualize from Chenrezig, white light coming and purifying all negativities that we have created in relationship with these 4 objects. And the second time, we visualize golden light coming and giving us the blessing or the qualities that we can receive from these objects. So again, you know, you don't have to think about, oh, what negativities, oh, what qualities. Just first is white light. So we do once with white light, then twice with golden light. where we feel the support, where we feel the guidance, and we feel the inspiration and the blessings coming from the Guru. We have to ask for it, because otherwise they can't give it to you, because we're not open to receive it. Namo Gurubhye, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. Namo, so that's the white light. And you think it's flushing out all hindrances we have in order to see our Buddha nature. You know, be bold, be courageous, don't go bit by bit. Boom, everything gone. Now we are like an empty vessel, a clean, empty vessel. And now we can receive the blessings and the inspiration that come from the Guru, Namo Gurubhye, come from the Buddha as our teacher, mentor, Namo Buddhaya, that comes from the method, the Dharma, Namo Dharmaya, and that comes from the spiritual community, Namo Sanghaya. Namo Gurubhye, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. Then generating Bodhichitta in the Supreme Awakened One, this truth, and the spiritual community, I seek refuge until becoming enlightened. By the merit from practicing giving and other perfections, may I accomplish full awakening for the benefit of all. So again, you know, to really feel this, I want to get out of samsara. I take refuge until full awakening, not just until my life gets a bit better. Yeah. Why? Because I want to be of benefit to others. In the Supreme Awakened One, this truth and the spiritual community, I seek refuge until becoming enlightened. By the merit from practicing giving and other perfections, may I accomplish full awakening for the benefit of all. In the Supreme Awakened One, his truth, the spiritual community, I seek refuge until becoming enlightened. By the merit from practicing giving and other perfections, may I accomplish full awakening for the benefit of all. Then we go to the four immeasurables. So then again, okay, the four immeasurables. We want to see everybody as being happy. We want to see everybody free from suffering. We want to see everybody being fully awakened, and we want to not just these ones, but not those, okay? And in Tantra, when you say these things, it's not just you want it, you take responsibility to guide these beings there, and you ask for blessings from Avalokiteshvara to be able to do so. May all sentient beings possess happiness and the cause of happiness. Again, you know, this comes from your heart. May all sentient beings be parted from suffering and the cause of suffering. How wonderful that would be. And it's possible because suffering has causes, so we can eliminate it. Then, may all sentient beings never be parted from the happiness that has no suffering. And may all sentient beings abide in equanimity without attachment and aversion for far, near and far. Okay, this is we just do once, that's fine. Now I have to stop to give you too many explanations because otherwise we're still here at 10 o'clock. Okay, then we dissolve ordinary view by thinking whatever appears to me, it doesn't exist the way it appears. We dissolve it into emptiness. Let it arise as a wonderful place where there's nothing that is dangerous. May the surface of the earth in every direction be stainless and pure without roughness or fault, as smooth as the palm of a child's soft hand, and as naturally polished as lapis lazuli. However a wonderful land looks for you, this is what you visualize, because we're visualizing all the time anyway. So now we start to visualize purity. Purity in the sense, something that doesn't lead to suffering. Then we fill that space with offerings. May the material offerings of gods and humans, both these set before me and those visualized, like a cloud of the peerless offerings of Samantabhadra, pervade and encompass the vastness of space. So you can be really creative while I'm reciting the mantra. Again, I just do it once. And you, in the meantime, if you don't know it by heart, you are very creative and you fill the whole space, which is filled with all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and you fill it with offerings for them, whatever would make you happy, offering to His Holiness the Dalai Lama. in multitudes of quantities. Doesn't work so well for the Western mind because we're already so full. It works for the Tibetans because their landscape is so empty. That's why everything that they offer and do, the tankas, everything is full. For us, a bit overload. Yeah, but anyway, this is to increase the offerings. Om Namo Bhagavate Vajasara Pramatana Tatangat Harate Samyak Sambudaya Tayata Om Vaje Vajema Vajema Tese Vajema Vidya Vajema Bodhichitta Vajema Bodhimendam Vaje Sarva Karma Avarana Vishuddhana Vaje Soa. Then we continue. And the power of truth. This is expressing your trust in the Buddha. Whatever the Buddha says, it's not absolute truth, but it leads to truth. So it's conventionally it's true, and it leads to truth. That's what the Buddha was saying. I can't teach you the truth in a way, but whatever I teach leads to the truth, meaning empty of any inherent existence. By the force of the truth of the 3 jewels of refuge. So here we think about the 4 noble truths. By the firm inspiration from all bodhisattvas and Buddhas, by the power of all the Buddhas who have fully completed their collections of both good and merit and insight, by the might of the void, inconceivable and pure sphere of reality, may all these offerings be hereby transformed into their actual nature of voidness. And so we have the conviction that these offerings we're making by visualization, because they're empty, the Buddhas can receive them, and then we receive the merit from it, and we're very happy. Okay, visualization. So anyway, we just go through it, and whatever appears in your mind, that's fine. Don't push, okay? Just listen, and whatever appears as visualization is fine. If nothing appears, also fine. Just relax. We don't need to be perfect here. In the space of the Dharmakaya of great spontaneous bliss, in the midst of billowing clouds of magnificent offerings upon a sparkling jeweled throne, supported by 8 snow lions, on a seat composed of lotus in bloom, the sun and the moon, sits supreme exalted Avalokiteshvara, great treasure of compassion, assuming the form of a monk wearing saffron colored robes. So I sent you a picture, but also sometimes this is not so skillful, but anyway, whatever you can think. So it's kind of, it's your guru, yeah, that is sitting there, or His Holiness the Dalai Lama, but not in a normal solid human form, yeah, still in a light, kind of a body made out of light like a rainbow. O my Vajradhara master, kind in all 3 ways, and here, of course, we visualize His Holiness Dalai Lama, holy Losang Tenzin Gyatso, endowed with a glowing fair complexion and a radiant smiling face, your right hand at your heart in the gesture expounding the Dharma, holds the stem of one white lotus that supports a book and a sword. Your left hand resting in a meditative pose holds a 1,000-spoke wheel. We are clothed in 3 saffron robes of a monk and are crowned with the pointed golden hat of a pandit. Your aggregates, century spheres, centers, and objects, as well as your limbs, are a mandala complete with the 5 Buddhas and their consorts. These 5 Buddhas, 5 colors, 5 delusions, whatever, I sent you a list. Male, what we talk a bit next time about this, male and female bodhisattvas and the wrathful protectors. Male and female bodhisattvas is a sign that this is a sadhana from the category of highest yoga tantra, where there's this kind of union of bliss and emptiness, encircled by a halo of 5 brilliant colors. These are the 5 colors to purify our 5 mental poisons. My master is seated in full Vajra posture, sending forth a network of cloud-like self-emanations to tame the minds of all sentient beings. So many small ones go out. Within his heart sits Avalokiteshvara, a wisdom being with 1 face and 4 arms. His upper 2 hands are placed together. His lower 2 hands hold the crystal rosary and the white lotus. He is adorned with jeweled ornaments and heavenly raiment. Over his left shoulder is an antelope skin is draped. So this is for the vegetarians. This is just a visualization. Nobody killed an antelope, okay? It just signifies non-violence. They say, why do they need to take a skin? I don't know. It's kind of symbolizing something. So just let go. No antelope had to be killed in order to drape the shoulder of Avalokiteshvara. And cross-legged, he is seated on a silver moon and lotus. The white silver tree, a concentration being at his heart, emits brilliant colored light in all the 10 directions. On my master's brow is a white Om, so it's transparent, so you can see a white Om. Within his throat is a red A, at his heart is a blue Hum, from which many lights shine out in myriad directions, inviting the 3 jewels of refuge to dissolve into him, transforming him into the collected essence of the objects of refuge. Because we don't believe that this visualization is really there, of course, like dependently arising, but we think that, oh, this is just fantasy and I am real and Chenrezig in front of me is fantasy. Then we need to invite the wisdom beings, it's called, so that they absorb into Avalokiteshvara, like the enlightened minds or energy of the Buddhas. So it becomes a bit more real for us, yeah? If we have full trust and full faith that the Buddhas are always there, we don't need to do all these things, but this is to generate our faith. So then you visualize like this, then we do the 7-limb prayer, which also, you know, we can talk so much about it, but we do it the next few sessions to meditate on this properly. Your liberating body is fully adorned with all the signs of a Buddha. Your melodious speech, complete with all 60 rhythms, flows without hesitation. Your vast, profound mind, filled with wisdom and compassion, is beyond all conception. I prostrate to the wheel of these 3 secret adornments of your body, speech, and mind. Second limb, second limb is offering. So is it not there? It's strange. Prostrating offering, yeah, so there we go. Material offerings of my own and those of others, the actual objects of those that I visualize, body wealth and all virtues amassed throughout the 3 times, I offer to you upon visualized oceans of, like Samantabhadra, of clouds of Samantabhadra offerings. Thank you, Talia. Okay, so the next one is confession. My mind being oppressed by the stifling darkness of ignorance. It's so good, you know, we are so enveloped by this darkness of ignorance and we refuse to come out of it. I have done many wrong against reason and vows. Whatever mistakes I have made in the past, with a deep sense of regret, I pledge never to repeat them, and without reservation, I confess everything to you. From the depths of my heart, I rejoice in the enlightened deeds of the Sublime Masters and in the virtuous actions, past, present, and future, performed by myself and all others as well, and by ordinary and exalted beings of the 3 sacred traditions. Okay, then requesting. Don't worry, we meditate on those next 3 times. I request you to awaken every living being from the sleep of ordinary and instinctive defilements within the divine music of the Dharma's pure truth, resounding with the melody of profoundness and peace, and in accordance with the dispositions of your various disciples. I entreat you to firmly establish your feet upon the indestructible Vajra throne in the indissoluble state of Evam, until every sentient being gains the calm breath of joy in the state of final realization, unfettered by the extremes of worldliness or tranquil liberation. This is so beautiful. I dedicate fully my virtuous actions of all the 3 times, so that I may receive continuous care from my master and attain full enlightenment for the benefit of all, through accomplishing my prayers, the supreme deed of Samantabhadra. When we offer the mandala, we think we're offering a pure universe where nobody suffers. By the virtue of offering to you, assembly of Buddhas visualized before me, this mandala built on a base, resplendent with flowers, saffron water, and incense, adorned with Mount Meru, the 4 continents, as well as the sun and the moon, May all sentient beings share in its boundless effect. So this is very cultural. And His Holiness in one of his teachings also said, forget about Mount Meru and the 4 continents. This is not for a 21st century Buddhist. But it was then that they thought this universe like this. Now you just think that you're offering a perfect universe. It doesn't have to be Mount Meru and 4 continents. It's interesting to visualize it if you know how to do this. Then this offering I make of a precious jeweled mandala, together with other pure offerings and wealth, and the virtues we have collected throughout the 3 times with our body, speech, and mind. O my master, my yidams, and the 3 precious jewels, I offer all to you with unwavering faith, accepting these out of your boundless compassion. Send forth to me waves of your inspiring strength. Idam Guru Ratna Mandalakam Niryatayami. Okay, then the blessing by the master. We think that from the Sri at the heart of Avalokiteshvara, seated in the heart of my venerable master, flow streams of nectar and rays of 5 colors. This also will go into this. We do maybe at one point, we do one after the other, penetrating the crown of my head, eliminating all obscurations and endowing me with both common and exclusive powerful attainments. So for the moment, you just think that as the light goes into us, all the junk is going and whatever realization we want is coming. And we do it 3 times. Om A Guru Vajadara Batarak Mandushri Vagindra Sumati Chnana Shasana Dara Samudra Shri Badra Sarvasiddhi Hum Hum. Om A Guru Vajadara Batarak Mandushri Vagindra Sumati Chnana Shasara Dara Samudra Shri Badra Sarvasiddhi Hum Hum. Om A Guru Vajadara Batarak Mandushri Vagindra Sumati Chnana Shasana Dara Samudra Shri Badra Sarvasiddhi Hum Hum. Now, I fully realize that if you have to read, you can't visualize. So with time, you will know the mantra by heart, or you divide the time. So you have somebody who is leading. Yeah, like when you do the sadhana properly, you do it at least 21 times. So you have somebody that is leading. So you recite the mantra, if you don't know it by heart, maybe half of the time. So you purify your speech, and the other half of the time you visualize, because both of them are important. Okay? So then we do the prayer of the graduated path, because this is what we want. We want to internalize, realize these steps of the path. And this is why we take these forms and syllables and all this in order to get the blessings of the Guru, so that we're not stuck, so that we're not stuck in our intellectual knowledge, but slowly, slowly we start to act like this. Bestow on me your blessings to be devoted to my master with the purest thoughts and actions. Gain confidence that you, O compassionate Holy Master, are the basis of temporary and everlasting bliss. For you elucidate the true path free from all deception and embody the totality of refuges past number. Bestow on me your blessings to live a life of Dharma, undistracted by the illusory preoccupations of this life. For well I know that these leisures and endowments can never be surpassed by countless treasures vast and wealth, and that this precious form once attained cannot endure, for at any moment of time it may easily be destroyed. Bestow on me your blessings to be devoted to my master with the purest thoughts and actions, gaining confidence that you, O compassionate Holy Master, are the basis of temporary and everlasting bliss. For you elucidate the true path from all deception and embody the totality of refuges past the number. I think we've done that already. So then we go to the next one. Bestow on me, this we are there because we did the death thing. Bestow on me your blessings to cease actions of non-virtue and accomplish wholesome deeds by being always mindful of the causes and effects from kind and harmful acts, while referring to the 3 precious jewels as the ultimate source of refuge. And most trustworthy protection from the unendurable fears of unfortunate rebirth states. So that's the lowest scope. Bestow on me your blessings to practice the 3 higher trainings. So that's the middle scope. Motivated by the firm renunciation gained from the clear comprehension that even the prosperity of the Lord of the Devas is merely a deception, like a siren's alluring spell. Bestow on me your blessings to master the oceans of practice, cultivating immediately the supreme enlightened motivation, Bodhichitta, by reflecting on the predicament of all mother sentient beings who have nourished me with kindness from beginningless time, and now are tortured while ensnared with one extreme or other, either on the wheel of suffering or in tranquil liberation. Bestow on me your blessings to generate the yoga. We need to go a bit further. I'm on the last line. The yoga and most trustworthy, where are we? Bestow on me, on the yoga, combining mental quiescence with penetrative insight. So, in which the 100,000-fold splendor of voidness, forever free from both extremes, reflects without obstruction in the clear mirror of the immutable meditation. Bestow on me your blessings to observe in strict accordance all the vows and words of honor that form the root of powerful attainments, having entered through the gate of the extremely profound Tantra by the kindness of my all-proficient master. Bestow on me your blessings to attain within this lifetime the blissful Mahamudra of the union of body and wisdom, to severing completely my all-creating karmic energy with wisdom's sharp sword of the non-duality of bliss. The non-duality of the bliss and emptiness, okay? Then we need to go further. Was that the last one? Okay. So then we ask for blessings. So now the blessing come like gushing down, and we think my Supreme Master, requested in this way, now blissfully descends through the crown of my head and dissolves in the indestructible point at the center of my 8-petaled heart. Now, if you don't have initiation, I think it's better just to leave him on your crown and then it comes down. For this, you actually do need Chenrezig initiation to be able to absorb the Guru in your heart. Or what you can do, you can absorb the Guru, instead of throwing through the central channel, you absorb the Guru through this point here. Yeah, and then you should think it still pervades all your body, and you become you dissolve your ordinary being and you become whatever you want to become somehow. It's always a bit difficult when you don't have initiation, because these sadhanas are made for people who have initiation, so it's never explained how somebody should do when they don't have the initiation. But, sometimes it happens that people just do this spontaneously. And then if it happens spontaneously, don't go like, oh, no, I'm not allowed to do this, because that's what we try to do this spontaneously. So it's always a bit tricky, this whole thing. If you want to do it like this, then at least you should think, next time there is an initiation, I'm going to take the initiation. Yeah, like to make this commitment. This will be my path. Otherwise, just listen and don't visualize. That might be maybe the safest thing. As the Guru dissolves into the indestructible point at the center of my 8-petaled heart chakra. Now my master reemerges on the moon and lotus in your heart now. In his heart sits Avalokiteshvara, within whose heart is the letter 3. It's called the 3-stacked being. Your master, Avalokiteshvara at his heart, in the heart of Avalokiteshvara, letter 3. So our mind becomes very subtle. It goes, if it's in your heart, it goes into that undestructible drop. Encircled by a rosary of the 6-syllable mantra, the source from which streams of nectar flow, eliminating all obstacles and every disease. So this is now flowing outside in our body. Yeah, so our body becomes also a body of light, and expanding my knowledge of the scriptural and inside teachings of the Buddha. Thus I receive the entire blessings of the victorious ones and their children, and radiant lights again shines forth to cleanse away defects from all beings and their environment. So now the light shines out of our body like the sun that shines in all directions and touches each and every sentient being, especially all the sentient beings on the dedication list. And it cleanses away the defect from all beings and their environment. In this way, I attain the supreme yogic state, transforming every appearance, sound, and thought into the three secret ways of the exalted ones. So we recite the mantra while just sending out the light. You know, don't worry so much. Oh, what is in my heart? How do I know? Just think your goodness, which resides at your heart in the form of a very bright, shining sun, is going out in all directions and purifying every sentient being that it touches. You don't need to worry so much. You know, the sun doesn't worry where the light goes. It just goes in all directions. So we recite Om Mani Padme Hum a few times. So this you can visualize and recite at the same time. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. Don't forget the visualization and the reciting of the mantra silently, but you still move your lips and your neighbor wouldn't hear you, because it purifies the speech when we recite mantras. You know, remember, we cleanse the clarinet by saying these mantras and doing the visualizations. Om Mani Padme. 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. Then always when we finish, we recite the Vajrasattva mantra. Not always, not in all sadhanas, but it's very good to do in case we made mistakes, in case we had like undevotional thoughts and, you know, unreasonable doubts or even aversion and anger on whatever. We don't have to feel guilty about it. By saying the mantra of Vajrasattva, it just totally cleanses all these things away. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Denopatishta Didyo Me Bhava Sutokayo Me Bhava Supokayo Me Bhava Anurakto Me Bhava Savasini Me Prayacha Sava Karma Chitan Shiyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sarvatathagata Vajamame Muncha Vajabhava Mahasamaya Sa Okay, so then we do the dedication. In the glorious 100,000-fold radiance of the useful moon of wholesome practice, from the blue jasmine garden of victorious treasures mind, method of truth, may the seeds of explanation and accomplishment germinate and flower across the vast earth. May the ensuing auspiciousness beautify everything until the limit of the universe. By flying high above the three realms, the never-vanishing great jewel banner of religious and secular rule, laden with millions of virtues and perfect accomplishments, may myriad wishes for benefit and bliss pour down, having banished afar the dark weight of this era's degeneration, across the extent of the earth's sapphire held by a celestial maiden. May all living creatures overflow with spontaneous gaiety and joy in the significant, encompassing brilliance of happiness and bliss. In short, O protector, by the power of your affectionate care, may I never be parted from you throughout the rosaries of my life. May I proceed directly with an ease beyond effort, unto the great city of unification, the all-powerful cosmic state itself. Then the conclusion. By the force of the immaculate compassion of the victorious ones and their sons, may everything adverse be banished from eternity throughout the universe. May all favorable omens become increasingly auspicious, and may whatever is of virtue in the round of this existence or in tranquil liberation flourish and grow brighter like a new moon waxing full. And we finish it by thinking, I only know about Avalokiteshvara, Tara, and all the other tantric deities because of my living guru, the one that appears to me in his or her human form. So again, there's this gratitude, there's this joy. We get direct instructions when we listen to His Holiness from Avalokiteshvara himself. If we can at least maybe not see him as Avalokiteshvara, but to think, oh, wow, here's Avalokiteshvara teaching, you know. And so, of course, you know, the wish for them in their human form to have a long and stable and healthy life comes very spontaneously. It's like the wish of a small child that his or her mom is happy, not happy, maybe not so, is healthy, is healthy, doesn't get sick, will never die, will always be with me. When we do the long life prayers, this is what should be in your heart. As if we were a little child, totally lost. Without gurus, no way we will attain liberation and enlightenment. So we are like the small children, totally dependent for our happiness, for our well-being on mom and dad. So please, please, please live long and stay until samsara ends. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for being so patient and listening. I'm sorry, again, I went a bit overboard because I always want to tell you too many things and then I get a bit lost. So I'm sorry. So, but I promise, and if I don't keep my promise, Talia, you need to remind me. So I promise then for the next 3 times, we will spend much more time with the sadhana. I thought maybe, you know, this introduction to Tantra might have been helpful. And, but then, you know, we will meditate on the sadhana, not just recite it, on the 7 limbs, on the graduated path, on the absorptions, on the 5 lights and all these kinds of things. In the meantime, maybe familiarize yourself with this list that I made, these 5 Buddha families, the 5 lights, our 5 contaminated aggregates, the 5 wisdoms that we want to develop as a fully enlightened being. If you can, you know, the whole thing about the guru, it's good to read up what also Talia sent you, that's from the module, how to relate to a guru. And if you, Alex Berzin has 2 very good books on the guru. I can't remember what it's called in English. I think Wise Teacher, Wise Student or something like that. Because it's, you know, culturally it's a big problem between Asian gurus and Western disciples. So, and also, you know, I'm sorry for quoting Tsongsa Khyentse Rinpoche so much, but whatever he says, it somehow sticks to my mind. You know, it's amazing. It's like, it's so present. So he said in this interview that I was watching, if you want to have a cup of tea, the most important thing is the tea, but you also need the cup. But that's not the most important thing. So in Buddhism, like the cup is the whole cultural thing around it. Yeah. But what is important is the essence, that is the Four Noble Truths. That's the tea in the cup. So he says, I think it's time to change the cup for the Westerners. Because so much of it just doesn't fit. It's too strange, it's too exotic, it's too cultural, this whole thing. Yeah. So this is, you know, you need to have the wisdom to strip away the culture a little bit, but not just because you don't like it, okay? Yeah, you should always find the Four Noble Truths in it, in the whole thing. And always bodhicitta, you know, may I be of benefit to all sentient beings. And we ourselves, I cannot change the cup, you know, I think it's realized beings like Tsongtse Rinpoche, Lama Zopa Rinpoche, other beings that I see as realized, they have to change the cup by getting to know us Westerners really well. For an unrealized being, changing the cup, this is too dangerous. Then it's again likes and dislikes. You know, I don't like this, so I put it out. It's tricky. You know, Buddhism is very, very complex, and you have to do it by yourself. I think somebody was asked at one point, what is Buddhism? Or what, you know, the essence was, he said, what's the best thing about Buddhism? Is that, no, what's the essence of Buddhism? You have to do it by yourself. What's the best thing about Buddhism? That you can do it by yourself. And what's the hardest thing on Buddhism? That you have to do it by yourself. You know, the Guru can only point, like the Buddha, to the moon. But we get stuck with the finger that points to the moon. We have to go to the moon, and we need somebody that points to the moon and can wake up your inner Guru. Talia, you need to make me stop.
We can be here forever.
Say, finish, shut up, this is it, let's go sleep.
Well, yes, you have a long day.
No, not for me. I can go on and on and on about this. But it's for you. So please, you know, I need a supervisor here. And if I just go overboard, they say, hey, come on, Anila. You know.
No. It's actually, I think we quite need it. So, yeah.
Thank you for listening.
I will collect questions then. If you have additional questions, you can send it to me. I will put it together before the next class, and then somehow I guess any Losang will incorporate it into it.
Yeah, you can send them to me. That would be helpful. Great.
So
Thank you.
Anyway, thank you very much. Really, I enjoyed very much to talk about these things. If you didn't, well, shall I be sorry? It doesn't help if I'm sorry. I still am quite joyful that we do these things together. And thank you so much for listening, because, yeah, you gave me almost 2 hours of sheer joy. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was wonderful.
And,
Wonderful teaching. Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Venerable. Thank you,
Oh.
Talia.
thank you.
Thank you, Talia, for organizing it. Thank you, Nina. Thank you, everybody. Anyway.
And I just gonna say that it is recorded but not live streamed, and I think a little bit editing will be needed. I think Christian and I will talk about it offline, and it will be made available later, because I know there are one or two that wanted to attend but couldn't, so that's mainly for them as well. And also, if you have things that you shared but you want to edit out, let me know as well.
For me?
No. I think Nina had a question. No, you have no escape.
No regrets.
Be edited out.
And I wanted to just take a
And Nina wants to say something too, I think.
because there's so much. Talia put so much effort into preparing. Christian is our YouTube editor, so he makes it all go online. Then we have Lars, who write the newsletter, and we had Roxanne here. I don't see her anymore. She's our house manager in Latam. Then we have Maria, who is doing all our accounting checks.
So you are Maria. I can see now Maria. Hi, Maria.
And also Talia as an SPC. So we have Teres, who is our webmaster, huge job. So whoever likes our website, you know who stands behind it. So many people put so much effort, some hours per week, every week, to put it all together. And then there is some people here who also support as our members. We have about 20 members, I think 19 members, who monthly put a little bit of money so we can cover all the costs, get all the Zoom licenses, pay for all the expenses and things like this. So thank you, because without that work and support, nothing could happen. So incredibly grateful for that. And Ani Losang, thank you so much for Such a beautiful.
You're very welcome. It's okay.
If you had joy, that's great. I think you can multiply it by about 20 because I think we all had the same amount of joy by listening. Thank you so much for practicing.
Thank you so much, and have a good week.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you, Nina.
Everybody.
I'm going to end the meeting.